Happy Tuesday, everybody. I'm BobbyFi, back with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. Hopefully you guys saw our DraftKings video that we just put out. We are doing a Fanduel one now. And I'm feeling much better today. Was a little under the weather, and apparently, as Sheets put it yesterday in a text to me, that the whole slate had the flu. So I wasn't. It was a pretty gross slate, and because of it, we've got this is a really good slate that I don't love because it's hard. It's taking a little more time for me to figure out exactly where I want to go. There's plenty of options. Some questionable chalk. I think there's going to be some information that we don't know about yet. We got to, look at all these Q tags. So let's just keep our eyes open anyway. But I'll bring Sheets in and say, Sheets, what's the biggest difference you see between the sites today?
I definitely think that there's a lot more guys that I'm interested in playing on FanDuel as I kind of went through it. I think that the Chicago value is even stronger on FanDuel, which makes it even more difficult because that whole Chicago value thing is very confusing to me. That is my initial take. As we go through again, position by position, you'll see. As I mentioned, as I told you, Bobby, over the weekend, I did a FanDuel review where I essentially had 5 players locked in, and I could have done the review in about literally 8 minutes. And today it's just not the case. I mean, it's just a different slate. And for me, I'm gonna have to, I'm gonna have to play some guys. And if some of these guys that I'm interested in are low owned, I'm gonna have to spread them around. And play a decent amount of them. So that means I'm doing something that's not exactly my comfort zone, like playing like 30, 40 entries in the $7 or whatever. But I think I'm gonna try it today.
I like it. All right, man. Well, let's get into a position by position. There's a slew of options at basically every position. What stood out to you at first?
So let's get right into it. So Shaq Harrison, I don't know. I didn't look at the ownership. Actually, I think I did. I mean, he's going to be popular. I guess he's not going to be as popular on FanDuel because these ultra value guys are just never quite as popular on FanDuel because you don't need them as much. But make no mistake. I mean, at 4,900, if he's starting and going to play 30 minutes, I mean, he's a really, really good play. But there's a lot of ways this can go. Kobe White starting, that takes his usage away instantly. Markin and Porter are going to get more minutes, so that takes away usage from him. And who's to say that if Satoransky comes off the bench and is playing well, that Shaq doesn't get back in the game? I don't know. I think that there are definitely routes to failure here. So I don't think you 100% have to play him, but certainly popping in projection models if that means anything. As far as other guys, so again, the way I like to do this, I'll go through guys that I like. Like Luka looks really, really good. Westbrook looks good. Rubio looks good. My 2 guys that at least part of my top 5 or so that are not getting owned as much as the other guys. One is going to be Aaron Holiday. And I think that if somehow Shaq Harrison becomes chalky and Aaron Holiday less so, this for me is an easy pivot. You want to know the truth. But the guy I'm really getting pumped for on FanDuel just because of his ownership. Also, I'm in for the Lillard on FanDuel also. I think that he's a really, really strong play, and look, there are other strong plays also, but I like him here. I think he's I don't know about the ownership, whatever. He looks low owned for now, but we'll see. I think he's probably one of my favorite point guards. And one more I'll just throw at you, kind of just off the boardish if you want. At just no ownership is, do you want to play some of the Chicago stuff? Colin Sexton always seems to have a ceiling nowadays. So at really low ownership, I might go to him too. But as I just kind of alluded to, as I kind of went through, there's a bunch of guys here. And I probably left off some guys that you probably like also.
Yeah. Okay. So point guard, I think it's weird to play Harrison at chalk at the same price that Fultz is.
Okay.
That's weird to me. Like, I understand. Yeah. The only reason I'm finding myself gravitating that way at all on FanDuel is because of how I feel about – I like to get – I have that game just naturally, and he kind of fits in with that, the rest of that. It's strange to me with this Fultz thing. Like, I'm taking Fultz straight up against Shaq Harrison. unless there's like something I missed over the weekend. I don't think I did. Yeah, I think it's a mistake, but that's just me.
I mean, I'll tell you, the last 2 times Shaq Harrison's been chalk, my preview has been, I don't really want to play this guy, and he ended up smashing. So I don't know what to do.
No, I mean, I just think that it's not like there's plenty of other options. I think Ricky Rubio is a terrific option at 6,700.
Yeah.
I think Luka Lillard, then Westbrook would be my favorites on the site. I think those are the clear ones that I'm trying to get in. That's paying up. Obviously, there are plenty of places to pay down later. If you're going to pay down, I would probably go. Well, the middle tier would be Rubio, Kobe White. I like both those guys. I like Holiday, Fultz, and then Harrison is fine. As is probably Dellavedova if he really does play the 35 minutes we have him projected to play. But the sneaky play is the one that we haven't gotten to, and that's Rondo. If somehow LeBron is out tonight, there's a smash path there, and if we don't know, you're going to be able to get ownership that you shouldn't get on him. So he would be the wild card of the bunch.
What's his price?
3,600.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it is kind of seems to be a perfect $7.77 tournament play, if you don't have the news.
Oh yeah, perfect.
I mean, if even if LeBron plays, he could still, get 15 points or whatever.
And by the way, that might be the same that Shaq Harrison gets you.
That's very true. But I like your idea, by the way. I didn't think about that. I like your idea of kind of the uber direct pivot of Fultz against Shaq as well.
All the advanced things also are pointing to somebody, like all the stuff, like which is just with the way the matchup will play, the projected minutes, the implied usage. Like I do think Derek White, who you brought up for DK, is still in play over here too.
Yeah, why not? I mean, the position has like a zillion options.
And that's a pretty good total game. Like if you could play him with Luka, even it makes some sense.
So I just kind of did a little, I guess, faux pas, I guess. I mean, I know you don't – so you don't like it when I called Andre Drummond AD. I guess I'm not allowed to call Shaquille Harrison Shaq, right?
No, you can call Shaq. Yeah, I guess that's fair enough. I don't know, actually. That's a funny one. It does feel different.
Probably pretty bad. But then again, you're not going to be able to confuse – you're never going to confuse Shaq Harrison with Shaquille O'Neal, where AD you could confuse with Andre Drummond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, okay, fair enough. Just felt wrong as I said it. Beats my constant Jack Tatum takes, which we'll get to a little bit later. Okay, so shooting guard. All right, the best play. I think the best play is going to be DeMar DeRozan, with respect to combination of value, value and raw points, all that stuff. I do think he's going to be significantly high owned, but as far as just the best play, I do think DeRozan's the best play. And I like Harden as well. I think he's a good play also. So the 3 kind of next guys for me, and I'm going to play these guys, I think that I am going to play Bradley Beal. He's going to be lower owned than all those guys, and I think he has the same ceiling he always has. And he's going to be one guy I like. Now, Devin Booker, I like regardless of whether Ayton is out or not. As a matter of fact, I mean, if it's going to keep his ownership lower, I almost in a weird way would rather have Ayton in. I think that the impact that Ayton being out has on his production does not make up for the ownership effect it will have. So, regardless of what I prefer, I think I'm going to play him regardless. And if you want, and one other guy, just again, kind of just – now I'm saying mad scientist play. I haven't played him in a while, so I think I might put Damian Lee in my player pool as well. So we have again, just to reiterate, I think DeRozan is, look, make no mistake, clearly the best play as far as I'm concerned. But there are other ways you could go. Harden, I think, is also a really, really good play if you can get him in. But I think that you factor in ownership as well. I do like Beal and Booker and Damian Lee, kind of the wild card.
Yeah, There's a lot of options to me. I guess to prioritize, I've got Harden and Oladipo as my highest owned. I love just like getting the low ownership on Oladipo
Yeah,
because
I
the
forgot
other guy
about
who I
that.
like the most would be Beasley. But then I just had to ask myself, like, if Beasley's probably going to be twice, even though we're both going to be low on, Beasley's probably going to be twice with the ownership of Oladipo. And I actually think Oladipo has the higher ceiling. I think all the numbers with projected ceiling, don't trust any of those things. They're completely false. The other guy who I really like over here that I sort of mentioned a little bit on DK, but D'Angelo Russell, I find myself wanting to play like a Russell Harden stack. um,
Yeah.
or a Russell Westbrook or something. That's really getting that Houston game because you can play Russell, who's pretty cheap over here for the usage, and you could or Beasley, or you could play Naz Reid and Hernan Gomez, and they all are priced where they could really crush. I don't know if you play all of them together, but I sort of like that game stack anyway. Huge total. If they keep it close, you get one of the Harden Westbrook part of it along with Covington, and you got 3 or 4 from Minnesota that you could justifiably really get a nice little stack in a game that's going to be wide open and who knows what's going to happen. So I'm into that one. I mean, that's sort of where I'm targeting over here is that Minnesota-Houston situation. I do think as other guys, I like DeRozan fine, especially if you're playing a Luka lineup or a Porzingis lineup like I'm going to have some of. I like Terrence Ross. I think he's a better play over here, and I think his projection is pretty good, but I think he's got upside, and he's cheap. I think 554 is too cheap for the role he's been playing. He's been crushing consistently. So those are my guys. That's a lot of them, but that's who I'm playing.
Yeah, so I neglected to mention. He was so far down on my list here that I just forgot that he's probably a better play here even than on DraftKings. Is your the Oladipo call again? We talked about this more in depth on DraftKings, but we'll cut right to the chase. I mean, I think he's just got tremendous upside and has a ceiling above the other players in that price range. You know what I mean? Like, I'll use Damian Lee as an example. I mean, you can't compare what Damian Lee can do compared to what Oladipo can do, right? And similarly, like even like a Terrence Ross and guys like that. Now, again, Oladipo certainly hasn't flashed that all year, right? Well, that's the risk you take, I suppose. That's why he's way down on people's lists, and that's why he's going to be 0.0% owned or whatever it is, So I actually like Beasley here. I like Beasley though. He's going to be pretty owned.
Yeah, he's not gonna. I don't think people are gonna play enough of Beasley as usual. By the way, I want to point out that people who think Beasley doesn't have the ceiling, he didn't. I think he came out with like 4 minutes to go in the third quarter the other night, and he still ended up with 34. He was gonna get to close to 50 that night. He was doing whatever he wanted. He has a ceiling. Just because guys don't soda, you see, they didn't do it. But they still played some minutes. It's different when you need a guy to go off. We just haven't really seen some of these young guys' ceilings, and he's a great example of that.
Yeah. All right. So small forward is disgusting for me. So let's talk about this. Like my initial thought is to play these cheap guys, because they're just so cheap. Rudy Gay on Fanduel is down to 4,300. I know that it's not the greatest play in the world in general. I mean, his minutes are always a little fishy, but 4,300 is kind of tough. And Denzel Valentine, even though you can't really count on him for that many minutes, and he's going to be starting, he's 3,900. And there's a lot of crap like that, like Michael Mulder and stuff like that. So if you don't want to do that, then you're talking about, Andrew Wiggins maybe would be my best kind of like real player, kind of play. And then when you're not doing that, then you're in the realm of kind of like lesser projected guys that you just feel more confident in. So if you want to like spend up on guys like Paul George or God forbid even LeBron, that's one way you could go. I don't know why I want to play these freaking cheap small forwards. Maybe I should do that. Maybe I should get a little more quality. Maybe I should try a Paul George or a LeBron or even a Wiggins or something like that, then rely on these idiots here. I'm not they're idiots, you know what I mean, to get there for me.
Yeah, I have so with the small forwards, I really like Paul George, like I said before, on DraftKings. And Paul George is the number one for me. And then I run into a sort of a tier where I have a few guys who I'm willing to play. Juancho would be my favorite. Juancho and Chidi Osman would be the way I would go down here. So I think both Juancho and Chidi Osman have a higher ceiling not counting in overtime for Rudy Gay than Rudy Gay. And they're a little bit more expensive. Well, Osman's 100 more. Hernangomez is 500 more. Hernangomez is in the game environment I want. I think I'm going to end up siding with him partially because of that. I'm also going to throw in a couple Daniel Houses. I really like that spot, and I think, I mean, we've seen guys just smash out of the blue against these teams. Some of these fringe players, maybe Daniel House puts up 40 tonight. Like, I want to attack that game. I don't trust the minutes with Valentine that much. I like him in general as a player, but I don't feel great about playing him at these minutes. If you want to play TJ Warren, that's fine. If you want to play Troy Brown, that's fine. But yeah, overall, not a great position. So I'm going to stick mostly to the Paul George, Juancho, Chidi Osman, Gordon Hayward, and then filter in a little Rudy Gay, Daniel House, and Carmelo.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough position, I think.
I agree. But by the way, maybe we should just take one more second on it then.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's a good place to differentiate maybe. Some of the guys who actually project well, who maybe won't get the ownership that you think they would.
Okay. Let's talk about
I'm not loving this play. I'm not, well, Daniel House is one of them. He's one great way to go with it. We've just recently seen what did we put up the other night? He put up 32 or whatever. He put up 26 after that. He's going to play 30 minutes. Again, ceiling type of environment. In fact, was that game against Minnesota? It might have even been the same matchup. So he's a good way to get off, like a guy who projects well, who's going to play more minutes and is not rating as the same. He's not going to be nearly as chalky as some of the other guys are. Oh, Mikal Bridges over here too at 5,400. He's been playing really, really well. He plays like 50 minutes a game, this guy.
I know, it's crazy, right?
It's nuts. So I wouldn't mind him. I mean, there's a bunch of guys not to mind, but the other guy who's not projecting as well as I think he's got upside for is Chidi Osman. That 4,400, it feels a little too cheap over here. He's put up 29 and 37 in his last two games. Obviously, they don't have all the bodies. Now, we do get Drummond back, so yeah, you could argue that hurts him. But it's not like he's been doing that with rebounds anyway. He's been running. He's been facilitating since we've had no help me, the 19-year-old rookie. I can't think of his name for some reason. Garland.
Right.
But Osman is taking up a lot of that usage, and he's the assists are up. He can do some things. I just think that's where I'm looking on this slate. I'd rather just, because I don't like it, I'm not going to not like it and play just the chalky guys. I'm going to not like it and play the guys who I think have the most upside.
And I'm not too. We got to talk about it because it's going to be popular. I don't know why I'm not too into Hayward. He's fine. I just want to play Hayward and TJ Warren together. You could do that, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, I also have what's his name too at shooting guard. So Oladipo, and I have some love for Holiday, and there's a lot.
That's what we're going to end up doing, right? After all these huge totals, we're going to end up stacking the Indiana-Boston game, right? That's what's going to be happening.
No, I don't.
All right, we'll see.
No, I'm on the Minnesota. I'm very much on FanDuel. I am very much on the Minnesota stack and pray stat, the Minnesota Houston stack and pray, and I want to get a little bit of this Phoenix Portland action.
Yep.
That's where I'm at. So
power forward.
Knicks and Washington getting overlooked just feels crazy.
Hey, I'll play Beal. I'm gonna get to. We'll get to Randall and Mitch Robinson and whoever it is. Okay. I didn't quite get to Peyton. He would have been like the next guy I probably spoke about on that point guard. He's probably gonna make my player pool barely, just because again because I want to have some Beal also. But yeah, I mean New York guys are fine too. Yeah. So power forward. Again, we're gonna have to talk about Trey Lyles again. 4,900 here. He's been playing minutes, but like you said, doesn't do all that much, but if you have 4,900 left and the rest of your lineup looks really good, he's fine. But again, at chalk, I don't think I need it, or I don't need to have that much of it. How about that? So the guys that the other guys that are showing up as good plays are Davis and Covington, Randall, Sabonis. These guys, probably Kawhi Leonard will take a little bit of ownership. So the guys I like the most, they're actually three guys. I do like AD a lot here, and I will play him on FanDuel with impunity. In other words, if LeBron doesn't play, obviously you made a tremendous bet, and if he does play, I still think that AD is a good play. And the other two guys, I do like Tatum here. If he doesn't get the ownership that he could otherwise get, back to that Boston-Indiana game, obviously. And then I don't know why I want to keep going back to this, but the combination of being a guy that projects kind of okay for me, and just is no one's going to own, and he's like 0 for a million in his last game is Rui Hachimura. again, I'm not going to like lock him in by any stretch of the imagination. As a matter of fact, I only need probably like 10% to have any kind of leverage, you know what I mean, on everybody else, because no one's playing this anyway. But I do think he's in play. I do still think he's good. Yeah, you said he's looked pretty crappy over the last, however long it's been, but he still has talent, and he's in, if I'm going to play other guys in this game, he's probably my next favorite guy. I'd rather play him than Troy Brown, like, for example, as my second Washington guy. And that's pretty much what I got.
Yeah. So I feel weird about this. There's a guy who I really like. I just want to point out the guy I like. I like Naz Reid a lot tonight. And I think at 5,300 at very little ownership that you're getting a steal on him. But the thing, when I look around, I see steals in everybody. You see Naz Reid has actually been consistent here. Like, he's playing the same 25 to 28 minutes a game. He's putting up monster totals, and this is the kind of matchup where he should put up an even heavier total. You have the team that attacks the most, and misses the most shots because they take the most shots. This is a great spot for him, and this, most importantly, the rebounds. If you can get him into that near double-double range and get him those 35 fantasy points, like, I feel like that feels really realistic, and I feel like there's even upside on that. I think he's going to be somewhere between 25 and 35 here most of the time, but every now and then it'll creep up to in the 40s, and I really like him. I like Aaron Gordon over here. He's 7K. It's just too cheap for him. I like the matchup better than Vegas does. I like Kevin Love at 6,900, where I wasn't really going to play him. I like both the Cavs forwards. They actually played when Drummond played before. They played all three of these guys together to close a game, and actually sat Sexton out of one of them. So kind of just interesting to take into consideration. Oh, news is LeBron James now plans to play tonight, so we got that in. Anyway, sorry, I lost my train of thought because that's obviously big news. I think it's Gordon and Love make the most sense, along with Sabonis and Reed are my guys. But I feel like everybody's about the same. Larry Nance is fine. I don't love it, but I'm fine with it. I like Covington, I guess, but I don't. Covington and Lyles both make a lot of sense to me, so I can eat a little bit of chalk. I've already differentiated at small forward in my builds based on what I was saying, and I'm going to differentiate just a little bit at center. So maybe just play those guys and just call it a day. You're going to get a reasonable total out of both of them. I don't think you're really having a high-risk play, but you could also just flip it over to Kevin Love and Eric Gordon, Aaron Gordon's the one I'm surprised his projections aren't a little bit higher. Like, I mean, what does a guy have to do? He has, like, I think he's had one down game in his last 9. Like, it just feels too cheap. Maybe that's what we do. We just find a way to play Gordon.
Yeah, that's rough.
I mean, what is he letting us down lately? Like, he's been crushing.
Yeah, I guess.
He's put up 40. So his last 3 games has not been as good. He's only put up 48, 38, and 36. But then he had one bad one at 23, then 52, 57, 52, 41, 54, 43. Like, we're not far removed from that.
Kind of would rather have Randall against Washington.
I kind of go with you. I would kind of go with you too, I guess, a little bit. Well, I don't know if I would actually. I feel like Gordon actually feels safer to me. They do weird things with Randall. You never know when he might get just taken out of the game late. It's weird stuff happens.
Yeah, well, can't be any weirder than what happened yesterday. So, okay. So with center, I don't know why it always works out for me, but with center, I can build the rest of my builds kind of with impunity, as I like to say. And the reason why is because I have I think some good plays at different price points, all of which I'd be kind of content with. And I can't really. It's so hard to separate, which you prefer, whether you play the really good play cheap or the really good play mid range or the really good play at the top. So I'll just kind of go over them. If you want to like spend up for like a lot of places, you can play Wendell Carter with complete confidence at 3,900. It's just a tremendous value play for just all the reasons that Bobby's discussed over the last 2 weeks. I don't know even if I need to expand upon it at all. It's going to be owned, but whatever. I think he's a tremendous play at that price, and if your build leads you to need to pay that much, I think that it's perfectly reasonable you end up with him without an issue. The other place you could end up if at the mid-range, 2 guys I like there between about 6K range. One I like more than the other, but that one's going to be higher owned. So I like Marquise Chris a decent amount here at 6K. But if you want to go, maybe a little worse, maybe I'm really splitting hairs here. You would go with either actually Mitchell Robinson or Miles Turner. Mitchell Robinson would probably be the lesser owned of all of them. So if you want to try it, you could do that. Aaron Baines obviously is a play if Ayton is out, but only if Ayton is out. And if you want to spend up a little bit, so I do have an opinion. If somehow you get around 77,000 or something like that, this ownership projection is a joke. If Valanciunas is actually going to be completely ignored, and I'm in the position where I can grab him without killing my lineup, I'm certainly going to try it. Yes, the matchup stinks, but whatever, as far as I'm concerned. When you get up a little higher, I have an opinion. I don't like Vooch as much as Drummond. I like Drummond more than Vooch. I guess they're both going to be kind of similarly owned, but again, I just think that Drummond's matchup is just significantly better. So I would prefer Drummond. And unfortunately, if I do, have the 9,500, I myself will have no problem getting to Whiteside.
So I'm going to take a different angle on the Drummond Vooch thing here, because initially that was my thought. Like, my original thought was I'm just going to play two centers, Carter and Drummond. Carter, I'll have him more than half my lineup, so that's not even a question. I can promise you that right now. Drummond, when I look at him and Vooch being basically the same price, and I think Drummond ends up probably twice as popular when there is so much less security than there is with Vooch. So much less security. Like, Vooch is, what is he going to have, a bad game and put up 40? And I don't see playing against Valanciunas as being a bad matchup personally. I'm sorry. That's just my personal take. And I'll just, on top of all this, Vooch has been at 45, 48, 53, 48 over his last four. They're playing faster. I think that continues tonight. I like the over in this game. And I'm playing Vooch. Those are my guys. It's Carter, Vooch, then Drummond. And then the other guys I don't mind are Mitchell Robinson, PJ Tucker, and Jonas, but I just don't like. I just really would mostly decide with the first three, and I personally give Vooch a little bit of the edge over Drummond. But the other thing is, we also are talking about playing a lot of those Cleveland guys, and that kind of makes me want to play Drummond, on the other side. I'm sorry, the value Chicago guys. It makes you kind of want to play Drummond on the other side of it a little bit.
Yeah, but do you really need these Chicago guys? I don't know.
I mean, you don't need them, but I think they're interesting. Like, we didn't mention Lauri Markkanen as another pivot off of Lyle power forward. Right. There is upside there, man. Like, this is what we have to try and get ahead of. Look, it's not going to happen for all of these guys at once, but it's going to happen for some of them. and we didn't mention Otto Porter because he's coming off the bench and the minutes don't look good. I think there might be upside for these minutes that there's projected. And I actually think him coming off the bench is a much more encouraging thing. He got a big game the other night. He put up 40 in no time. So maybe he's kind of more interesting than I initially gave him credit for.
Do you like I think we're gonna come out different on this one. I think if Ayton is out, I think it's a different price. I think if Ayton is out, I think I prefer Baines to Carter.
So you prefer Baines to who?
To Carter, maybe. I did a little different price, I guess.
But Baines is 53, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Out, but like I don't. Do you think he's gonna be? I haven't gotten that vibe so far today.
I don't know. I don't know one way or the other.
Check this out. LaMarcus Aldridge upgraded to probable, and Lonnie Walker's ruled out.
Oh, thank God.
I don't need to play him anymore.
You know what? You know how much easier that just made my life.
I know. I feel the same way.
I don't have to deal with Trey Lyles ever again. You know what I mean? I shouldn't say it like that. You know what I mean? I don't have to deal with Trey Lyles or Lonnie Walker or Rudy Gay and all this stuff. And you know what? Maybe I'll play DeRozan anyway at less than 50% ownership. So,
oh my God! Actually, it's kind of interesting to play him. Actually, that's kind of a good call.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Good call. I think that DeRozan is still in play.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, his ownership just literally went from the entire field to no one.
That's right.
Right. Wow. But yeah, I think we covered most of it. Guys, hit us up on Twitter. I got the live QLTV show at 4 Eastern. Sheets, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Yeah, one other thing, just because with LMA in now, again, it keeps the spread closer too. I mean, I think it doesn't really take that much away from DeRozan.
I think it's kind of an interesting. I mean, I'm open to that one. I just like a lot of other shooting guards on FanDuel, but on DraftKings, I think it makes a little bit of sense at 7,400. Anyway, for Sheets, I'm BobbyFi saying we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards tonight, guys.